Oh, there are so many yummy vegetarian options out there. You could try like lentil soup, veggie burgers, tofu stir fry. The possibilities are endless. You're looking at something called Slurm. It's a job scheduler, a piece of open source software that, honestly, most people have never heard of. It's the behind-the-scenes operator for the world's most powerful computers. And NVIDIA just bought the company behind it. Now, as an investor, I don't care about the purchase price. The only question that matters is this. How could this one, seemingly obscure piece of software fundamentally deepen the competitive moat of the entire NVIDIA ecosystem? That's the real story here. To really get this, we have to look at it the right way. This isn't about next quarter's earnings. This is a story about long-term, durable business quality. It's a moat story. So let's be absolutely clear. We're not analyzing some new product that's going to juice revenues. No, we are analyzing a strategic power play. It's a move that's all about widening the moat, improving the quality of the business, and grabbing tighter control of the platform. That's the only lens that really matters for us. And here's why this little piece of software is such a big deal. Slurm runs on something like 60% of the world's top supercomputers. It is the de facto standard. It is the control plane for the entire high-performance computing world, which, as you know, is now the engine powering the AI revolution. Okay, so let's follow the thread. How does a piece of open-source scheduling software actually connect to the silicon, to the chip itself, to build a competitive advantage? I mean, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? Well, think of Slurm as the air traffic controller for a huge AI data center. It's not the jet engine. It's the system that tells thousands of GPUs which plane gets to take off, from which runway, and when. It orchestrates the whole chaotic mess. And this really shows you the two layers that matter. Down at the bottom, at the chip layer, you've got CUDA. CUDA tells one single NVIDIA GPU how to do its job. But up here, at the cluster layer, that's where Slurm lives. And it tells thousands of those GPUs which jobs to run. You see? They're separate, but they work in sequence. If you control one, you have a product advantage. But if you control both, you start to control the entire workflow. And this is where things get really interesting for our investment thesis. This acquisition signals a huge evolution in NVIDIA's moat. It's a potential shift from just having the best product to actually setting the rules of the game. For years, NVIDIA's moat was all about the product layer, right? They had faster GPUs and that powerful CUDA software that locked developers in. But this hints at a new moat emerging at the rule layer. This is all about establishing the default workflow, making their way the path of least resistance for the entire industry. So what does that best supported path actually look like in the real world? It's not about them actively blocking competitors. It's way more subtle and, frankly, more powerful. It means new NVIDIA features just get supported first. It means their own networking, like InfiniBand, is integrated more tightly. It means that, yeah, a competitor's hardware might work eventually, but the path for the full NVIDIA stack is just smoother, faster, and less risky. It becomes the default choice. So what's the end result of creating this path of least resistance? Well, it makes the moat wider and deeper. It raises the walls for anyone trying to compete and for any customer thinking about leaving. And look, this isn't just me speculating. Analysts are already on this. Manish Rabat over at Tech Insights pointed this out perfectly. He called it the best supported path effect, where NVIDIA can just subtly shape the development roadmap to favor its own stuff. And that right there is the key investment insight. This isn't about selling more GPUs next quarter. It's about switching costs. By controlling the default workflow, NVIDIA is making it structurally harder, more expensive, and more of a pain for any customer to ever switch to a competitor, even if that competitor comes out with a chip that's just as good. This completely changes the battlefield. For years, AMD and Intel were fighting a product gap. Their whole job was build a faster chip. But now they're fighting an ecosystem gap. They don't just have to build a great chip. They have to fight against the inertia of a default workflow that is being increasingly fine-tuned for their biggest rival. But, as disciplined investors, we have to pump the brakes a little. We have to acknowledge that this analysis, it's a thesis about the future. It's not a fact today. NVIDIA has been very direct about this. They've put out statements promising to keep Slurm open source and vendor neutral. This is the main counterargument to the whole moat-deepening thesis, and we absolutely have to take it seriously. And that's exactly why this has to remain an investment thesis, not a foregone conclusion. The potential for the moat to get wider is absolutely there, But the outcome isn't guaranteed. It all hinges on how NVIDIA manages this critical open source project over the long term. So, at the end of the day, this is the only question that matters. You have to cut through all the noise. The real signal to watch for is this. Is NVIDIA's competitive advantage moving beyond just its chips and software and actually weaving itself into the operational fabric, the default workflow of the entire AI data center? That's the billion-dollar question. So, my judgment is this. This acquisition has meaningfully increased the probability that NVIDIA's long-term business quality will improve. The moat appears to be widening, but we have to remember, this is a thesis to be tracked, a trend that needs to be validated over time, not some truth we can just take on blind faith. Disclaimer. This content is for informational purposes only and should not be considered investment advice. The views expressed are based on publicly available information and are subject to change. Always conduct your own research before making any investment decisions.